96 people injured. A place of worship turned into a crime scene. On November 7, 2025, at the SMAN 72 Jakarta mosque, bombing shocked our nation to its core. As the smoke cleared, an even more unsettling reality emerged. The perpetrator was not a seasoned terrorist from a sleeper cell, but according to the AP News 2025, a 17-year-old high school student with an initial F who studies in the very school he attacked. The public reaction has been understandably polarized. Some cry out for the maximum penalty, demanding he be tried as an adult to pay for the pain he caused. Others argue that he is a troubled child, a victim of bullying who needs forgiveness. However, based on an analysis of the case details and current criminological research, I argue that neither extreme serves the true interest of justice. Therefore, our thesis is clear. To ensure public safety and prevent recidivism, or the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend, we must adopt a hybrid approach, trying the perpetrator in juvenile court to acknowledge his developmental stage, but implementing a new serious offense pathway that mandates intensive evidence-based rehabilitation alongside strict accountability. My name is Michelle, and today I will explore this hybrid approach through three key areas. The root cause, analyzing the offender's psychological profile using the inferiority complex framework. 2, the risk of adult incarceration, why traditional prison is ineffective and potentially harmful. Number 3, the solution, a proposed revision to our laws incorporating cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT and multisystemic therapy within a secure juvenile framework. Let's start with the root cause, which is diagnosing the behavior, not just punishing the act. To determine the punishment, we must first understand the mechanism of the crime. According to the media AP News 2025, reports paint a clear picture. F was considered a teenager who had difficulties in socializing and came from a home where his parents divorced 7 years ago. Reuters in 2025 stated that he was allegedly bullied, felt lonely, and sought recognition from online extremist communities. According to BOO 2022, juvenile delinquency is often driven by what Alfred Adler calls an inferiority complex. BOO explains that when adolescents face family dysfunction and social alienation, they experience a sense of inadequacy. BOO 2025 also stated that to cope, they engage in compensation, which is replacing their feelings of powerlessness with aggressive acts to gain a sense of superiority. Furthermore, BOO 2022 highlights the frustration-aggression theory. Reuters 2025 suggested that the suspect of this SMAN 72 bombing case, F, fits this model perfectly. His diary rap, revealed deep isolation and a desire to be recognized. He wasn't born a terrorist. His radicalization was a maladaptive response to untreated psychological features. If he were to be treated merely as a criminal, adult who, without addressing these inferiority and frustration triggers, we would be ignoring the root cause of the violence. Finally, we cannot ignore the catalyst that turned his isolation into action: the internet. As Reuters 2025 suggested, police reports confirmed that F was active in an international Telegram channel glorifying white supremacist attacks. This aligns with BOO 2022's findings on internet-related factors, which argue that because internet regulation lags behind its development, adolescents are easily exposed to violence that misguides their morals and reinforces the idea that using violence to solve problems is appropriate. F didn't just stumble upon these ideas. The digital environment actively nurtured his radicalization in a way his real-world environment failed to prevent. Now let's move on to my second point, the failure of pure incarceration, while adult prison is a trap. There's a danger of satisfying our anger by throwing the 17-year-old into the adult prison system. Research from the National Institute of Justice, or NIJ 2022, suggests that getting tough isn't always getting smart. The report, Five Things About Juvenile Delinquency Intervention and Treatment, notes that juvenile awareness programs emphasizing fear and harshness, like Scared Straight, are not only ineffective, but can actually increase future offending. If we send F to an adult maximum security prison, we expose a malleable 17-year-old to hardened criminals. He is already susceptible to radical ideologies because, according to Wikipedia in 2025, he has been inspired by neo-Nazi figures like Brenton Tarrant, Alexander Bissonnette, and Luca Traini. Adult prison would likely solidify his identity as a victim turned aggressor, increasing the likelihood that he will commit further crimes upon release. As the NIJ 2022 notes, incarceration-based communities without specific therapeutic designs often fail to reduce recidivism. Furthermore, trying him as an adult imposes a permanent label that guarantees failure upon release. WU 2022 warns that for adolescents transitioning to adulthood, incarceration often results not in reform, but in an extreme attitude and a lifelong burden of criminal records. If we brand F a felon at 17, we strip away his future educational and employment prospects. Without those, he will have no choice but to return to the very criminal networks that accepted him online, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of recidivism. Now, this brings us to the solution. We need a middle ground, a hybrid system. We should process F through this juvenile system because he is legally and developmentally a child. However, the current diversion or light leniency often associated with juvenile justice is insufficient for a mass casualty bombing. Instead of simple detention, the sentence must mandate cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT. According to NIJ 2022, CBT is proven to be effectively reduce aggression in adolescents by helping them identify and change dysfunctional thought patterns. F needs to deconstruct the dysfunctional beliefs that led him to believe violence was a valid way to handle his bullies. Furthermore, we must employ multisystemic therapy, or MST. The NIJ 2022 rates this as effective for reducing rearrest. This approach doesn't just treat the child, it addresses the family and community factors. According to Reuters 2025, given that F lived in a home where he was withdrawn and his parents were divorced, MST would work to rebuild a support system that ensures he doesn't relapse into isolation after his sentence. Finally, mandatory parent schools and family support will also support this case. Rehabilitation must extend to the home. According to the media AP News 2025, reports indicate that F came from a home where communication was non-existent. To prevent relapse, the court must mandate parent schools, a concept proposed by WU 2022, where these programs would provide his family with professional support on resolving domestic disputes and emotional control, ensuring that when F returns home, he returns to a harmonious milieu capable of supporting his reintegration rather than the same isolation that fostered his radicalization. In conclusion, the SMAN 72 bombing was a tragedy fueled by a teenager's severe inferiority complex and social frustration. While the act was heinous, treating F as an adult criminal ignores the psychological roots of his behavior and risks hardening him into a lifelong terrorist. Therefore, I propose a specific call to action for the Indonesian legislative body. Do not simply try this boy as an adult. Instead, revise the juvenile justice system to incorporate a serious offense pathway. Now, allow me to call upon all of you as well, whether you are a person involved in the Indonesian government or in an educational institution, an educator, a student, or a citizen. Justice is not just about retribution for the past. It is about securing the future. Let us punish the act, but let us also cure the child, ensuring that no more students are injured and no more young lives are lost to the darkness of radicalization. Thank you.